the moment I wake up in the morning to the moment I fall asleep at night, I was born to play. It's my reason for living.
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I am the Caramel Critic, and today I will be reviewing Disney's Soul. Soul stars a star-studded cast. It has Oscar, Grammy, and BET Award winner Jamie Foxx, Golden Globe and Primetime Emmy Award winner Tina Fey, Phylicia Rashad, Questlove, Angela Bassett, Studi, David Diggs, Alice Braga, Donnell Rawlings, and Norton, just to name a few. It's also directed by Docter. He has directed Up, Inside Out, Monsters Inc., and a few other animated films. He's also been a writer on WALL-E, Onward, and Toy Story 2. It's also co-directed by Kemp. He wrote several episodes for Star Trek Discovery, and he wrote the screenplay for One Night in Miami, which is a fictional account of Muhammad Ali, Malcolm X, Sam Cooke, and Jim Brown when they were gathered together to discuss the civil rights movement in the 60s. I'm looking forward to seeing that and doing a review on that as well. So the movie starts off with Joe, played by Jamie Foxx, and he's a part-time band teacher, and he's been waiting for his big break. And in the midst of finally getting his big break, he dies. And he's supposed to be going to the great beyond, but he just got his big break, so he doesn't want to go. So he tries to escape, and he ends up in the great before. So the great before is basically where souls are before they become human. And in this movie, they get what their personalities will be before they get to go to Earth and be born. So when Joe gets to the great before, the officials there mistake him for a mentor, and the mentor is someone who is about to pass on or has passed on, and they're mentoring the future souls that will come to Earth, helping them to find their spark. So Joe is set up with Mentor 22, which is played by Tina Fey. And Tina Fey's character has been there for centuries. She doesn't want to become human. She doesn't want to go to Earth. She wants to stay in the great before. So her and Joe work together on finding her spark so she can get her Earth pass and give it to Joe so he can go back to Earth and fulfill his dream. Now, we'll get into some spoilers. I'll deal with that a little bit later, but I will say overall this movie I think is a great movie. It definitely touches on subjects that you don't really see in children's movies. That's why I think Docter was a great choice in directing this film. He deals with a lot of issues in the movies that he's directed or written, such as Up and WALL-E, and even Toy Story 4. He was an executive producer on that. He really touches on the subject of your purpose and who you think you're supposed to be, or, you know, things that we love. It also deals with our fears and our anxieties and how we take what other people think about us to heart and how we may be stifled by. This movie deals with your purpose and your passions and how sometimes those passions can become obsession. There's a part in the movie where Joe encounters lost souls, and these are people who basically allowed their obsessions or their passions to take control of them, and they no longer see the outside world. They no longer see what's going on around them. They're just so caught up in their own passions, their own obsessions, so then they become these lost souls. One of these examples of a lost soul was someone who had a metal detector, and they're constantly searching for something with this metal detector, and they were so caught up in finding what they wanted to find and not focusing on the outside world that they become a lost soul. One of the things I really liked about the movie is how they showed and interpreted these types of things. Lost souls, people who zone out, people who are obsessed with certain things. The thing I love the most was they showed what happens when people zone out. They showed musicians, singers, actors. I don't know if you've ever experienced that before, but sometimes you're just so caught up in what you're doing, especially if you're playing an instrument, you're just so caught up in it. And they show this multiple times. Joe does give an example of why he ended up loving jazz when his father took him to a jazz club and he saw someone playing, and it just brought him into this whole other world. And that's really how it is when you zone out on doing something. Even if you're playing a video game, some people zone out when they play the video games. Me, I love music. Music is life to me. Music really makes you feel all kinds of things. All kinds of different genres can make you feel certain ways. They can make you feel good, happy, sad. And so sometimes you can just zone out and just vibe out. And so I loved that interpretation in this movie. Another thing I loved is Joe is at a barber shop and he's getting his hair cut. And at this barber shop, there's a conversation that goes on with the barber, and it's very accurate what happens at a barbershop or a hair salon. This movie really does deal with like your inner demons, your inner insecurities, your inner thoughts. And there's one part in the movie where 22 she's very discouraged. I'm not going to explain exactly what happened, but she's very discouraged and she starts thinking about all these negative things that were said about her, how she's not good enough. This character, it's like a sand character, but the sand spews out of their mouth when these negative phrases are being told to 22. And for me, it just showed how vile our words can be towards not just each other, but towards ourselves. You know, thinking that you're not good enough, thinking that this person is not as good as you, thinking you're not as great as someone else, you're not the best singer, you're not the best actress, you're not as pretty as someone else, you're not as skinny as someone else, you're not as in shape as someone else. And in all honesty and sincerity, these things are very vile, and it's like vomit can come out of somebody's mouth. And just because someone says it, it does not mean that it's always true. And so this movie deals with those insecurities and those problems that everyone deals with. It doesn't matter how beautiful you are or how rich you are or how famous you are. Every single person has some type of insecurity, some type of something that they may not like about themselves. Even if they feel that it's valid, it doesn't define who you are. This movie definitely makes you think about what really defines you. Joe says when he goes to bed, he's thinking about music. When he wakes up, he's thinking about music. But he allowed his love of music and jazz to define him. And it shows how he's missed out on basically life itself because he was so focused on getting this big break, so focused on, trying to do what he loved that he didn't stop to look around him. And before I go any further, I'm going to get into some spoilers. So this is your warning right here. If you haven't seen the movie yet, you don't want to hear any spoilers. I'm not giving it all away, but there are some spoilers I do want to talk about. So this is your warning right here to turn off the video, watch the movie, and then come back and finish the rest of this video. Now, for those of you who may have seen the trailer or seen the movie, we know that Joe dies in this movie. But he does not necessarily stay dead for the entire movie. My impression was he was going to be in this great before for the entirety of the movie until its finale, which was not the case. I was pleasantly surprised throughout this whole movie with the beginning, middle, and end. I didn't know what to expect. He does eventually get back to Earth, but he gets planted into this cat while 22 accidentally gets implanted into his body. But you see, as he's watching her inside of him, he gets to see how much he's missed out on life just by her experiencing this new life in his body. Basically the stop and smell the roses type of thing. She sees a leaf blowing in the wind. There are different objects from their journey throughout that day that she kept. And these are, may seem insignificant to other people, but they meant a lot to her. A lollipop that the barber gave to her to make her feel more comfortable. One of those spinning leaf seed things. I don't know what it's called, but we all see it every fall when they fall out of the tree and they kind of spin around. She keeps that because she noticed that just something beautiful. Just different things like that she was able to appreciate. And Joe was able to see his life, and he says, "Oh, my life has been meaningless all this time." He remembered scenarios differently. He thought certain scenarios were better than they actually were, and he's able to see that he's missed out on an entire life that's been going on around him. And it teaches you the lesson that you really should just stop and take a look around. You can't be so engrossed and ingrained in what you like and what what your passions are, in your job. Just stop and look around you. There are more important things. In the movie, it sounds like he might have missed out on love because he was chasing this dream of his. And we see that he's so caught up in trying to have this big break that when he finally gets it, he's still not paying attention to the life around him. He's so excited talking to someone on the phone about getting his big break that he's not paying attention. And that's actually how he dies. He walks through a construction site, he's not paying attention and almost gets smashed by bricks. And he almost gets hit by a car because he's just so focused on this big break. And he ends up falling in a manhole because he wasn't paying attention. And I think the theme for this movie, honestly, is pay attention, pay more attention, be more present. Sometimes people are always looking to the past, things that have happened, or they're always looking to the future of things they want to happen, but they don't take the time to just stop and focus on the present. Enjoy the present moment. Enjoy the moment that you're in. And that's one of the messages of this movie. I will get into some things that I did dislike about the movie. There really wasn't much. I really feel like this was a solid movie that has a great message and a great lesson. But some of the things that I not necessarily disliked, but took issue with, I did expect this movie to be a musical. Halfway, maybe 30 minutes into the movie, I realized, oh, this is not a musical, it's just a regular movie, which I understand because Up, which had a great message, was not a musical. Wall-E, who had a great message, was not a musical. All the Toy Story movies had a great message and was not a musical. But for me, I'm thinking, oh, we have Jamie Foxx, we have Questlove, there were other singers and musicians in this movie, and it was called Soul, and it had to do with the jazz player. So I'm thinking, oh, we're gonna get some good jazzy songs. So 30 minutes into the movie, I was a little disappointed with that. And I had to kind of let go of those feelings and just focus on the movie and not expect any song. Another thing that I took issue with was the ending. It is like I said, this is a great movie. The ending, I understood the ending. I was just not expecting the ending. I was expecting not to spoil the last half hour of the movie, but I really was expecting, kind of like that follow-up scene that you get at the end of movies where it's like, oh, now he's super happy and he's married now and has kids and his life is so full now because he stopped to smell the roses. And it did not end like that. The last thing he says is he's going to spend every minute living his life, basically. And I just felt like it ended so abruptly. I guess I wanted more. That's probably what it was. I wanted more from the ending, but it was still a great ending. I understood. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you go and check out Soul on Disney Plus. It is a great movie with a great message. And if you did see this movie or will see this movie, let me know down in the comments what you thought about it. And if you want to see more content from me, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and then that notification bell so you can be notified for when I come out with more videos. So I hope you guys have a great day.